Okay, welcome. Welcome everyone who's live. Welcome if you're watching the recording. I know lots of you, this is an odd time for you. People are working, it's 11 a.m. or wherever you are. So this is the time that works for me in the morning. So I'm just so happy to be with you. And I hope if you're watching this later, please feel free to message me with any questions that you have. Send me an email with anything that comes up for you, any reflections, because today we're talking about cyclical nourishment for the modern matriarch. So how we move with the seasons, how we attune our bodies to the phases of the life cycle that we're in, how we attune our body to the moon cycle, and how we attune our body to our own menstrual cycle. So I'm going to talk about 4 cycles today. And we're going to look at nourishment and nutrition from the point of view of not dogma, not diets, not what you should and shouldn't eat, but from a place of in alignment with nature and pleasure. Okay, so before I get into it, I have some slides to show you. I'm a visual learner, so for all my visual learners out there, you're going to enjoy this. Let's do a little meditation. Okay, so just to ground down and arrive here together. So close your eyes if that feels okay for you. Rub your hands together, sit up nice and tall, generate some energy, some friction through the palms of your hands. And place your hands on your heart, on your chest, one on your heart and one on your belly. Feeling into how your belly feels, what has nourished you so far today. And without judgment, just noticing how your body feels, your energy levels, your physical structure, your soul body, your mental body. Is she nourished? Maybe you've been sick, maybe your family's been sick, maybe you've been traveling, whatever it is, we have a big lives, just noticing what's coming up for you. It's eclipse season, there's so much transition, it's spring. So sending your roots deep, deep down into Mother Earth and sitting up nice and tall, reaching through the crown of your head, connecting with the moon, connecting with the sun and stars, with the cosmos, with cosmic intelligence, but firmly rooted down, anchoring ourselves like seaweed on a rock in the ocean, able to sway freely, openly, femininely, but we know where we're anchored. We know our roots, we know our core, we know where we belong. So feeling that sense of inner knowing, inner belonging, with the freedom to open and intake some new information, perhaps. And allow your eyes to open. You can take your hands down. Okay, well, I'm in Nova Scotia. For those of you who are listening from other parts of the world, but today it's really foggy as it is springtime at this part on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean, at this part of the world, at this time of year. And driving here today, my son in the back, he's so wise. He said, "Mama, we can't see anything except what is exactly in front of us." And I just thought that was so brilliant. And that was so amazing, because if you're anything like me, how many times do we get lost in the overwhelm of all the things that we think we have to do, our to-do list, our big lives, our things that are happening next week, tomorrow. And, it can just like paralyze us in this like sense of freeze response or emotional eating response or drinking or unhealthy habits. But what if we nestled ourselves into a foggy day and we realized that I'm not going to, or we took the inspiration from a foggy day and for my son, Oak. We said, I'm not going to look at anything else except what's exactly in front of me. So what's the next right step for me in this moment without worrying about anything else, distraction? So not big picture. Usually I'm talking about big picture, but for today, I'm talking small, micro. What's the next right step? Foggy day. I'm always drinking lots of water. So make sure you're comfortable as you listen to this. Have your water, have your cacao, have your tea. More people joining. Okay, so cyclical nourishment for the modern matriarch. What is this? Okay, who is the modern matriarch? The modern matriarch is you. She is a woman that is moving through the world, who has things to accomplish, maybe a family to raise, purpose, work, relationships, partnerships. There are so many things. But so we're living a modern life. I mean, if you're on this call and you're watching this from the internet, you are living a modern life. However, there are ancient wisdoms that we can glean from, the way that from nature's way, from ancestors' way, from the way women have done it for centuries, and that hasn't changed. Like the moon cycle hasn't changed, the stars haven't changed, the seasons continue every year, and so we can align our bodies, align our frequency to the frequency of Mother Nature. And when we do that, then we're much more easeful and in flow. Things are much more natural. We're not trying to force our way through life, right? Because we're matriarchs, we're feminine beings, we're flowing, we're magnets, we're attracting things to us. And nourishment is part of that matrix. How do we nourish ourselves? Today, we're going to speak specifically about food, but also how do we nourish ourselves with the things that we take in to our psyche, right? So everything that we ingest, everything that we take in, that we look at. So if this is like the foggy day, like I said in the beginning of this recording, this class, the foggy day is looking just what's in front of us, the next right step. So before I dig in to show you my beautiful slides for nourishment, I want to take you back to when you were a child. And for a moment, think back, go back into your psyche. You can close your eyes if you want to, and remember what it was like to eat at the table when you were about 7 years old. What was food like at your house? Who cooked it, if anyone? Were you eating on the run? Did you sit down at the table as a family? Were you eating takeout, going to sports? Were you encouraged or forced to eat everything on your plate? Was it happy and relaxed? Were candles set? Beautiful, nourishing foods that were in season? Talk about your day with your family? Or was it like the zone, the fighting zone, like it was in my house? Like my parents, that was their time, like explosive. Like my mom would cook, my father would come home from work. We had this beautiful food on the table, but they were like butting heads. And then there was like a source of anxiety. So I associated sitting down to eat with like anxiety. So now when I feel anxious, unsafe, when there's conflict, it goes right into my gut. So what was it like for you? And again, without judgment, like zero judgment, just noticing. Where did our first feelings, emotions, patterns, thoughts around food, where did it come from? Were you breastfed, bottle fed? So that can just give us insight, right? So shadow work is like going back when we were children, we're just looking for information. We're just looking for clues. So in my mentorship, we go into this much, much deeper. and we discover and we uncover, and then we merge the shadow and the light, we merge them together to become more whole. Okay. So just for those of you who are with me on that journey, welcome. I know some of you are, and you're here watching this. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I do want to say if you have questions at any point in time, I won't see them right away, but I will answer them before I end the call. So if you do have questions, please enter them into the chat. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, beautiful. So hopefully you can all see this. I think you can. It's assuring me that you can. And so I'm going to close this little window here. Okay, beautiful. Right, so I'm going to start with life phase nourishment. So we're going to talk about nourishment in the context of where we are in the phase of womanhood. And this is just an interesting way, food for thought, so to speak, just, taking an open mind. And my goal here, my vision here is just to open us up to natural ways of enjoying food, of nourishing ourselves, of building our container so that we can live out our purpose and live out our dharma. So in the first phase, in the maiden phase, you see I have this beautiful like berries, and I'm just like imagining like, when my daughters, when we bought the land that we're now living on, before I even went to go look in the house, my girls were wearing, it was June, and they were wearing these tiny little beautiful summer dresses, and I was overlooking the field, and they were just crouched down picking fresh wild strawberries out of the grass, like just didn't think, oh, did a dog pee on these berries? Are they clean? Are they ripe? Should I be doing this? This is somebody else's yard. No, just complete innocence, complete pleasure in a place of complete and utter joy. So this is the maiden, right? She's hungry. There's a ripe peach in the park where she's playing, warmed by the sun. She's going to pick it and eat it. Chocolate cake for breakfast? Of course. Why not? Honey, sweetness of life, fruits, beautiful like meat and things tasty. Just think like, a maiden, a little girl, if left to her own devices, if she's able to choose, she knows, right? Children knows what they love to eat. And it's not until like parents or school or structures or books or it's not until they become older that they hear these things that, you shouldn't eat this, you shouldn't eat that, or maybe they see their mothers or their aunties, poke at their belly, or, oh, I'm fat, I look fat in this bathing suit, or they're maybe like me at one point, I was at a Thanksgiving family dinner, and I'm just like enjoying the beautiful dessert after Thanksgiving, and I feel great. I'm loving it. I think I'm like 12 or 13, budding into my teenagehood, budding into my womanhood, and I'm just enjoying this beautiful pumpkin pie. And my aunt looks over at me and, like, bless her heart, she obviously, she didn't mean anything by this, but she's like, oh, watch what you're eating. You don't want to ruin that beautiful figure you've got. And I just looked at her, and for the first time had never considered that I was doing something that could ruin my figure. I was like, how could eating this like amazing pumpkin pie ruin my figure? Or walking the stairs with my mother and, being like, oh, got to work off that dinner. All of these like phrases that come to us later in life, but in the pure sense, you're like a little girl frolicking, picking apples off the tree and eating them, letting the juice run down your chin, or like watermelon juice in the height of summer at the beach. Like nothing more beautiful, nothing more delicious, nothing more sensual, nothing more fulfilling on a soul level and a physical level, and it's completely nourishing. So coming back to that innocence, that's the innocence of the maiden. And we can cultivate that. We can go back and we can love that maiden, and we can like give that to ourselves. And there's not an overdoing in this phase because we're just completely in tune with our pleasure, with our sense of what we need and want in the moment. And like one bite of chocolate, when we allow ourselves, like I eat chocolate every single day. And when I eat chocolate every single day, it's not something I need to like binge in. It's not a bad food. It's a nourishing, beautiful, delicious food. So in the phase of mother, and whether you become a mother in your own body, or if it's the energetic archetypal energy of mother, this is the creation phase. So if you're creating anything in your life, whether it's a child or a project or a work or building a house, working on gardens or working on a big travel or anything that requires a big output from you, soul, body, mind, then you're eating to nourish. You're eating to really fuel the body, mind, and spirit. So good fats. I've got the nuts here, Brazil nuts and avocados, chia seeds, like really pack a punch, chia seed pudding, root vegetables, like really grounding us down into our body so we can bring this great life force work out into the world. Cacao. So this is like the real cacao pods, like with the fat and the B vitamins, and here's the coconut, super nourishing, good fats for the brain. Rice, liver, organ meats, right? That's really like the superfoods, nature's superfoods. So potatoes. So again, like I'm looking at food not as a good and bad lens, not as a, we're going to lose weight. It's what foods, what nourishment is going to support the phase of life that I'm in to allow me to complete my soul's work, complete my mission, right? If we're not nourished, we cannot complete our mission. We cannot grow a child. We cannot grow a business. We cannot write a book. We can't paint a picture. We don't have energy to do it. So this is a huge, big phase of nourishment in our lives, motherhood phase. And if we don't nourish in this phase, if we don't allow it to happen, then it leads to problems later on in the life cycle of a woman. Okay, so I'm so happy. I'm so grateful for all of you that you're here. Welcome. Wild woman. Okay, wild woman. We've moved on for the mother phase where perhaps, children are grown or they're growing, perimenopausal, menopausal, business growing, things are flourishing, relationships are flourishing, houses are built. Then we're at sort of like a peak abundance. And now after all of this output of the mother archetype phase, we enter this like wild woman. Like, what do we want? What does the wild woman want? Who is she? What is she craving? And so we sort of enter an elevated energy of the maiden. So the maiden's like innocence and the fruits and the berries, and the wild woman, she's like, I want the cheesecake, like the extra luxe, with the compote and a glass of wine and oysters on all at once, in bed, in my bathtub, with oils, with rose petals, with music playing, someone feeding it to me. Okay, that's the wild woman. She returns to like, she doesn't need to eat as much because she's now it's all about her and what she wants to do, nourishing her. Steak, parfaits. Okay, so beautiful food. Flowers. I put flowers here. Flowers are edible. Flowers are food, but also it's just like the beauty, the sense of elevated beauty, sophistication, and elegance. The crone phase of a woman's life is when she is a healthy crone. The healthy crone archetype is she's making ready to leave her legacy behind. Okay, making ready to leave her legacy behind. So her energy is being transmuted up here in the spirit realm, in the mind. Okay? She's ready to write the book. She's ready to write many books, leave behind the manuscript, pass on the knowledge to the grandchildren. The body is slowing down. It doesn't need large amounts of food, little bits of food throughout the day. So you see, like, I just picture the crone, the Baba Yaga in the woods, And she's like wild crafting, foraging fresh herbs and eating garlic to keep her immune system high. She's snacking on like little nuts and seeds, like a squirrel throughout the day. She's drinking her herbal teas. She's got all her herbal brews because she knows how to glean the energy from the earth, and little, soups and fresh food. And so she's just eating like a little at a time. Okay, so I want you to just think like, where am I on the phase of life? Am I maiden? Am I mother? Is this in alignment or with me if I'm in a mother phase, or am I like running all day on coffee and eating my kids' leftovers? Like, been there, done that. Sometimes I still do that. So I just want you to, not have attachment or judgment. Like, there's no shame around it. I hope this is just illuminating and giving you permission. Like, oh, I really crave that liver. I really want that food. Then, give it to yourself. Of course, in any phase of life that you're in, that this is really the goal, is to release shame around food. Wild women eat oysters for breakfast. Oh, in the summertime, I'm definitely moving. I'm in betweeny. So I'm moving from mother to wild woman, and I could eat oysters for breakfast. I could eat steak for breakfast. I can enjoy a glass of wine and charcuterie board with fresh flowers, and I'm just so happy. Okay, I'm just gonna check the chat quickly. Oh, Jade, in your bathtub, 100%. I love it. Yeah, 100%. Bath is nourishment. Eating in the bath, like that's next level. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. Where's the screen? Move on. Oh, not that. Okay, just bear with me. If you've got questions, please ask questions in the chat. That's not what I want. If I go this way, I had other slides for you. That's not what I want. Okay, I'm just gonna let's go up and down. Okay, well, maybe this is a good time to stop sharing, and let me just check this out 1 second. Bear with me. Okay, well, sometimes we're just gonna let that go. So you got to see the life phase nourishment. I think that is so helpful. I hope that visual was fun for you. I'm definitely a visual learner. So the other one I wanted to go into was, so we've got the life phase, and then we have the menstrual cycle, and they can mirror each other. So the menstrual cycle, so picture that wheel, and we're going to split it up, or that pizza. We're going to split it up into 4 quadrants, just like we did with the life phase. And in the follicular phase, we're building, right? We're building just like the maiden. So we're building up towards ovulation. We're building the body again, but we're like, we're nourishing, we're like a little hungrier, we're just going slow, we're kind of like picking at whatever tantalizes us, because we're like building our energy. And then for ovulation, then what I like to do when I know that I'm ovulating is like eat big round fruits, like melon, or a big white cauliflower, or eggs, like kiwis. Like, these are the kinds of foods that symbolize ovulation. Kidney beans, like really nourishing the kidneys and the energy. So whatever you're coming, like ovulation's like the burst. Like, I am releasing something. It's the time to have presentations, to throw a party, to make sure you stay up all night and finish that project, start that new art project. So eating big, full fruits and vegetables kind of signifies that energy, right? So we're talking about like energy. We're having fun with our food. Then as we start to wind down So that was the follicular, that was then we hit ovulation. And then our luteal phase is when we start to wind down. We start to get quieter. We start to make sure that the body has the resources and the energy that it needs to release and to bleed. So we want more fiber at this time, right? Fiber-rich foods. We want those chia seeds. We want flax seeds, like sprinkling it into our oatmeal. We want soups and stews, and we want sourdough bread. And this might be the time, usually women say like, oh, I want to eat pasta. I see it in my daughter. She's, like my teenage daughter. I know when she's going to bleed because she wants to eat more bread. She wants to have pasta for dinner. And instead of, our culture is just like, oh, pasta's bad, you shouldn't eat it. But maybe, during this phase of the cycle, it's very wise to start, lots of green juice, getting the body prepared for the big energy of release, cleansing, and bleeding. Because then during menstruation, the body is cleaning out. It is a time, usually women are not hungry instinctually. And if you follow that and you're not following like special diets or food rules about what you should eat 3 times a day, 4 times a day, 5 times a day. Bleeding is rest and digest. I often fast when I bleed, or I drink miso broth or bone broth, cacao, drink a lot of liquids, teas, herbal teas, nettle, raspberry leaf, oat straw, sit in my bath and relax. So it's not really a time to be taking in, it's a time to shed. Okay, so if there's any questions about that, please go ahead and type that in the chat. And we're going to move on. So we did life phase, we did the menstrual cycle. Now let's talk about the lunar cycle. So following the moon. It's similar to the menstrual cycle, and sometimes women's menstrual cycle lines up with the moon cycle. We typically either bleed with the new moon or the full moon, and the energy is quite different at either of those times. And one isn't wrong, one isn't better than the other. They're just super different. So with the moon, as the moon is waxing, as it's growing, filling up, getting bigger, that's when we're building our energy. So if you want to follow the moon, then you would eat building foods during that time. Potatoes, pasta, stews, what else is building? Like curries, beans, meat, like nourishing meat, steak, like really like oysters, really like decadent food that is like building the body. We're working with that growing energy. And then the full moon, everything is illuminated, big energy. We're out in the world, just like ovulation. It's a time of big energy. So we need to nourish our body. So again, like cacao, eating all the sweet potatoes, the beets. And then when the moon is waning, just mirroring the menstrual cycle, we're winding it down, less food, right? Things are getting quieter. We're getting ready to go dark. We're getting ready to go yin, to go inwards. Because with the new moon, with the dark moon, we want to eat foods that are sattvic. So sattvic foods are not spicy. They're like squash soup, miso soup, brown rice with black sesame seeds and a little bit of toasted sesame oil on top. It's, burdock root tea, dandelion root tea. So we're starting to bring it down. We're trying to regenerate. And traditionally, in cultures across in spiritual cultures, in indigenous cultures, traditional cultures, the new moon is a time to fast. It's a time of spiritual awakening. It's a time of spiritual cleansing. It's a time to reset and recommit to our life's purpose, our pillars of truth. We talk about this in Matriarch mentorship, pillars of truth. What are they? I hope you develop them. So it's a time of recommitting. So generally, we don't take food at that time. I mean, you can use this as a model and you don't have to do it exactly, but play with it. Maybe you eat lighter during the new moon. I definitely do that. I kind of do it naturally. Okay, one more life phase. If anything is coming up for you, if you have questions, if you have curiosities, type them in the chat, email me later. I know some of you are listening to this while you're driving, while you're doing other things around your home. I love that. Just have me in your back pocket. Wednesday, Mercury day, a good day for communicating. Seasonal nourishment. I know if you're here, you're a very much an in tune woman, and I'm sure you very naturally eat with the seasons. But I think it's a good reminder. I always bring myself back, especially in the times of the shoulder seasons, shoulder times. So we're going right now, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and you're watching this, we're moving from winter to spring, but it's still cold, it's still damp, it's raining, we're transitioning. So we're not in the deep dark. The light is coming. So with that, we want to lighten up our foods. All of a sudden, if you're like me, I'm like scouring the ground in my garden. I see the chives are popping up, the mint. It also like survived the winter. So the fresh greens, like they're starting. If you have a little greenhouse, or you can go to the farmer's market or even the grocery store, the micro greens are available. And this is what your body is craving at this time. Green tea. So lightening up, like coffee is beautiful, cappuccino is beautiful, but maybe in the afternoon, we're having like a warm cup of brown rice green tea, lightening up like with oolong tea, and we're having salad, but transitional salad, like some greens with roasted vegetables on top. We're in the morning, perhaps it's like, the eggs. So I know we can get eggs all year round now, but I live on a farm, so I have chickens, and in the winter they take a break and they don't lay as much. So we don't eat as many eggs in the wintertime. The wintertime is for breakfast is like bread and oatmeal and warming porridge and stews and overnight oats. And in the spring, when the light gets longer, my hens, they're laying again. So spring to me represents eggs, omelets, fresh greens with omelets, and just everything fresh. Like you just can't get enough freshness. Green juice, I'm not really much of a juice person anymore, but I'm definitely like drinking. I don't know if you're in Nova Scotia. I just have a super green juice. You can make it on your own, but I like to treat myself. This one has romaine lettuce, spinach, cucumber, lemon, celery, zucchini, and pink Himalayan salt. So it's just beautiful, so amazing. And it's satisfying that wood element. The spring is wood element because, nourishing the ability to grow, like a sprout that's getting ready, right? It's just like getting ready for massive growth. So we want to nourish the body. Spring. In the summer, of course, we're eating everything fresh from the garden, raw zucchini, cucumbers, tomatoes, all the freshness, salads, barbecues. So that's, all the fruit. It's just like cooling foods, mint tea, that we tend to want that more. And as we go into the fall, into the harvest, and we're putting on our cozy sweaters, then we need the sweet potatoes and onions and garlic, and we're making fire cider and taking our tonics, and mushrooms, getting into mushrooms, and then seaweeds in the winter, and miso, and stews and meat, fat, so like the tallow and bacon, and the beautiful like kidney beans and all the things that we preserve from the garden. So eating in this way seasonally, we actually traditionally didn't have that much variety. We had seasonal variety, but if we ate what was available to us in our geographic location, the things that held the most potent nutrition, then we really ate a simple, clean, nourishing diet, ancestral diet, ancestrally. So of course, I'll be the first one to say that when February rolls around, I'm definitely pining for a papaya or some berries or some greens out of season, and I'll do that, or I'll go on a trip. We went to Florida, and I was absolutely indulging in the citrus and fresh fruits. And Guatemala, like papaya is my most favorite fruit in the whole world when it's like local, and there's nothing better than when it's in season. I will absolutely eat out of season from time to time, but generally I am very content and feel the most nourished when I'm eating in season. So my winter diet is mostly meat, which is something I never did before, because maybe you're like me, but as a yogi, as a nutritionist, as someone who was super into and still is into health, I didn't sift through the information on health as much, and was like buying broccoli and forcing myself to eat cucumbers and cold spinach salad with tuna in the middle of winter. Okay. Okay, so there's a question, and I'm going to answer this question. And I'm going to read it out. So everyone, I hope you don't mind, Mel. Okay, so you have a baby in the background, Mel. Of course, I understand everyone is welcome. So you love the concept of being so conscious of eating and how you eat and nourish your body and how it impacts us energetically. So do you have any suggestions on how to begin this process without overwhelming myself like a newbie like me? Yeah, absolutely, Mel. I have so much to say about that. So what I would start, so, you say you have a baby in the background. So I know, and I know you, and I know you're a busy mama, and I know you have family, and I know you're a relatively new mother. So I would focus on making, and right now we're still in the end of winter transitioning to spring. So I would focus on making big batches of hearty chilies with like ground beef. I don't know if you do meat, Mel, but if you do, then I highly recommend dense sources of nutrition for mothers. So making a meat chili with vegetables and root vegetables, and just having that going in the slow cooker so that it's there for you and you're eating that daily, 3 times a day. You can mono meal. I think at this point in time, getting the densest form of nutrition into you is going to be the most important for feeling good. So breakfast, like eggs and kimchi, sauerkraut, like make it simple. And okay, so right. So I didn't want to overwhelm you. So if you have, here's something easy for you to do. And let me know if this feels easy and doable. If you make tea in the morning, or if you make coffee, what I want you to do is put an egg yolk in it, put some collagen in it, get the best milk you can find, put coconut oil, and make an elixir. Put some maple syrup and make it delicious. So there's good fats in there, there's good protein in there, and you're drinking it. So that's a good way to boost your nutrition and boost your stores. Is that helpful? I think starting there, making good. I know the biggest thing for mothers is having the time to sit down and eat, right? Eat something warm. So having quick, easy meals, especially with babies, yeah, and yeah, meat is going to be important. Liver, tallow, fatty meat, and vegetables. Yeah. So I would, Mel, stick for you in the mother phase. Like you're an intense energy phase of your life. So I would just like stick there. You're welcome. You're so welcome. Anytime. And email me anytime. You know how to message. You just text me. Any other questions before I let you all move on with your day? I'm so happy to answer here or later. It can be overwhelming, but let's let it be easy. Let's let it be fun and pleasurable. Okay, well, I had so much fun being with you today. If there are no more questions, I'm going to let you go and I'll see you next month. I don't know what else my topic will be, but if you're interested in a topic, send me a message and we'll chat. Sending you so much love. Nourish well. I have today I have a red pepper cream of roasted red pepper soup that I made. So delicious. I'm really excited. Okay. Bye, loves. Lots of love to you. Ciao.